How do you split equity with co-founders and the team? We need to have a philosophical conversation about what that looks like. What is equity? Equity is the promise of future ownership, future, not current or past ownership. You have to understand, equity is what gets co-founders and team members working into the future. Therefore, if you are talking about equity, one of the easiest ways to solve the whole equity with co-founders and teams is to look up the concept of vesting schedules and cliffs. Let me define that for everyone. A vesting schedule is the amount of time that a co-founder or team member has to be involved in the startup, gainfully employed, before they can get their equity. And a cliff is the amount of time that they have to be involved before they get no equity. Here's how typically it gets set up. This is what I've done in the past. And as the main founder for investors, I put myself on vesting schedules and cliffs. I've said, all right, I need to be gainfully employed in this startup for a year before I get any equity. If I'm going to get 50% of the company, because maybe there are two co-founders, I'm going to be here for a year before I get any equity. And then after 1 year, that anniversary, I get 25% of my equity. Then for the next 3 years, I earn the other 25 for 75% of my equity, meaning that I have to be involved in the startup for 4 years before I get any of that equity, all that equity. 1 year is the cliff before I get any equity whatsoever. So that's what makes sure that you are rewarding based upon contribution, because here's the caveat. I will promise a co-founder 50% of my company, vesting schedule and cliffs, but I'm the CEO. And if I fire you in that 1 year ahead of time, you get nothing. Get nothing whatsoever. So you're going to have to decide. And that puts all co-founders and team members to the test on whether they actually want to be involved or not. And we make the decision, do I see this person sticking around for a year? If I bring on somebody that I met at a shotgun wedding, all right, like literally Las Vegas style hackathon, like let's just get married after meeting each other one time, and I'm ready to give them what, 10%, 50% of the company? I don't know, whatever it is. Well, I'm not being a smart co-founder because I'm not factoring in the future. I'm basically loading the table to try and get them on board, and that's not the way to do it. On top of which, let's say that 1 year has passed and they're vesting. So they got 25% of their total proposed equity, and I still fire them after the 1 year. I will probably do a deal. I'll say you only get 5% of the equity when you walk away. Why am I doing this? One, they got to agree to it up front. So everybody counts the cost and understands the risk that's going into it. Two, if I have them leave, I need that equity to bring on other people so that they can work for the future. On top of which, investors need to know there's enough cap table. If there's dead money, there's dead space on the cap table. There's equity, dead equity, and some founder has gone away with 25% of my equity, which leaves me 75%. There's not enough for investors to go in to invest in multiple rounds and build a unicorn company. That's just simply what it boils down to. So you cannot mess around with that. And that's the reason that founders who are in, team members, have to understand. If I fire you and you leave, you are leaving the company in a spot where we can go work in the future, not based on all your past contributions. Founders that tell me, but Ed, it was my idea, and Ed, I put in all this. And I've run into problems with co-founders before. Some of the nastiest divorces that I've had with co-founders have been because co-founders have acted entitled. They've had this total entitlement attitude and say, I put in all this money and I put in all this time. It was my idea. Yet the startup hasn't gotten to product market fit. Once you get the product market fit, it's a totally different story. There's different things. But by that time, you're on your A round and there's money to go around, etc. But before then, I tell that co-founder, listen, all your contributions have meant absolutely nothing. I need this equity to make it so that it is worth something, and I'll give you 5%. I've even offered 9%, and co-founders haven't taken it, and they've locked up the company, and then I've left the company because I know immediately you shot that company in the foot. So therefore, if we want to get into equity allocation, here's how you do it. Vesting schedules and cliffs, talk about that, and then figure out, well, how much does the company do you need to own eventually if you stick around for 4+ years and then have your outs. If you leave and you're vested, you're going to walk away with 5% of the equity. That's how you want to do that. So don't base it on past contribution. It is not based on past contribution whatsoever at the beginning stage of startup. This is where founders make the mistake and everybody acts entitled and they get their shorts in a knot. It's all about future incentive because as you're working a product market fit through those first 4 years, you're not getting paid market value. Investors aren't going to allow you to do that. You're not taking big swanky salaries. You're probably working for free a lot of the time, and you need something to motivate you to keep you going in the future, and you need chips to play with, and you need cap table allowance to work with investors. Therefore, do not mess up your cap table up front and distribute that equity in the wrong way. There's your answer right there.